So I want to thank everybody for coming here today. Talk a little bit about what we're doing with rental assistance. Montgomery County has been providing rental assistance for people impacted by COVID since May 11th, 2020. So it's over a year of assistance. Within 2 months of the state of emergency was announced, and well before other jurisdictions and the federal government. We understood what the impact of this was going to be early on. To date, we've delivered over $32 million in direct assistance. We've quickly pivoted with the establishment of the ERA program to align with Treasury requirements and incorporate everything we learned from the previous two rounds. Our application portal opened less than 2 months after the Biden administration's first rental relief program guidance was released. And we have 95 staff members working on the program, and they become experts in the new program in a matter of weeks and have worked around the clock to support these families. It is always interesting working with the federal government, and the regulations around this have been more complicated for everybody to deal with and require more verification than some of the work we had done in the past. Since May 2020, we've helped over 5,700 households with rent payments, ensuring that they can stay in their homes. We're halfway toward our 65% spending goal and on track to meet the Treasury expectations, which set a certain expectation for how much we had to spend, I think by the end of September, or the beginning of September. Okay, the beginning of September. We've worked through multiple Treasury changes and guidance to ensure our program continues to comply with their program requirements. What we don't want is an audit and then clawing back money. That would be most unfortunate, and so we're making sure that our work complies. We've processed over 40% of the applicants received. We've still have 60% of our applicants waiting for an answer. That's too many, and we're pushing ourselves to work faster. I will say that we've been working with the Sheriff's Department. One of the things that changed is that the Sheriff's Department is now giving us a list of who's going to be evicted, who they've gotten directions to evict. And this is important because if we just simply went through the application pile, it's totally disconnected from who's in front of a judge. Taking these cases, getting the notification of these cases, lets us find out who's already filed an application and then prioritize that application so we can provide assistance before they get evicted. If they haven't applied for an application, haven't filled one out, we can get them an application and get them to apply for assistance, and we can contact the landlords and tell them that we've either got an application or we're getting an application, and they can look forward to assistance. So this actually is a more directed approach, and we're trying to run ahead of the eviction, something we wouldn't be able to do if all we were doing is going through the pile, because we wouldn't know when the cases were in front of the court. To the landlords, I want to thank you for your patience. Many landlords have been very patient with this. We know you have bills to pay, and we're trying to get these funds to you as quickly as we can. And we appreciate their responsiveness and being in working with us, and we've asked them to hold off evictions when in eviction proceedings when they know that we can get them help. And any landlord now can proactively complete an application for any resident of theirs. So if landlords have residents, the landlords can complete the application, provide get the tenants to give them all the relevant information, and sign the form authorizing the landlord to submit. So we've kind of streamlined this process. We know there's some landlords who are anxious to be able to go about it this way. For the residents, we know this is an extremely challenging time for you. And we know that from what we hear. This is extraordinarily difficult. Unfortunately, we have too many residents who aren't showing up for their court cases. And if you don't show up for your court case, you're going to get an eviction notice. They are ruled in summary against you, and it's not a protection not to show up. And a lot of people think when they hear moratorium that it's a blanket moratorium. It's not a blanket moratorium. So you have to actually engage in this process. And so we continue to work with our partners to let our residents know that we have money available, that we're committed to getting to each and every application. We're trying to drive the message through our partners that you need to get your application in. Do not take the court process for granted. And if you've already applied, please look for outreach from our caseworkers. One of the things we have to do is if an application's incomplete, we're not throwing them out. We're trying to contact the resident who filled out the application and fill in the blanks. That is a time-consuming process when you have to go through an application and figure out what additional information you need. But we're committed to doing that. And lastly, know your rights. The eviction moratorium doesn't mean evictions can't happen. Just means that you have an affirmative defense. And please attend, like I said before, attend your court hearings. And there's free legal assistance available in the courthouse. Complete the CDC declaration order if your inability to pay rent is due to COVID, related financial hardships, and give a copy to your landlord and bring one to court. Do bring your documentation to court to support this. The eviction is a legal process. It requires a court hearing and a court judgment and an eviction executed by the sheriff. And this is where the sheriff giving notice of evictions has helped us try to stay ahead of the eviction wave. If you have questions about your rights, contact our Office of Landlord-Tenant Affairs. If you do receive a red and white notice from the sheriff's office and have not yet heard from one of our caseworkers, please email us at hss@montgomerycountymd.gov. That's hss@montgomerycountymaryland.gov. MD instead of Maryland, sorry. Or call 311 and let us know. We're going to continue to work around the clock to get these funds released. We want to absolutely minimize the amount of damage that is done to this community. We want the landlords to be able to get their rent. They have a vested interest in this because the money we put out is going to go to them in rent payments. If they simply evict the tenant, they're going to lose the rent payments. So we're encouraging landlords to work with us and tenants to do their part to make sure they're not making any mistakes that'll cost them their ability to stay in their apartments.